Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Simone here. So today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different from my channel, and that is the sci-fi books that I have on my TBR, owned TBR. As you probably know if you've watched my videos before, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but I am trying to kind of read a little bit, some different things as well as the thrillers and the crime books that I love to read because they are my favourites. So what I wanted to do was also to kind of help me think about the books that I have on my shelves. I wanted to talk about the sci-fi books that I do own so that I could kind of get a feel for them, I guess, and yeah, chat to them. So it's quite funny actually, because if you saw in the thumbnail picture, I think I would have put one of the pictures up, but actually most of the covers or the spines of the sci-fi books I own are like red, orange, yellow, so I don't know if that's like a theme, but yeah, most of them are, which is quite funny and they look great together. But yeah, let's get started with the books that I own. So the first sci-fi book that I want to talk about from my TBR is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, which I believe is kind of like a gaming inspired book. I believe it follows a world where people, I think they can't build any like houses anymore, so they live in these like caravans that are sort of all stacked on top of each other, and I think it's something to do with like a gaming world where basically the man who owned or created the world, I think, does he die, and his legacy is basically to leave behind like a treasure map, I think, and people have to find it in order to like own his game in the future. Like I said, I don't know too much else about this. I know my boyfriend started to read this. I bought this for him actually initially, but he DNF'd it because he didn't love it. So I am interested to give it a go. I've heard it's got some good like references to like 80s games and kind of like stuff like that, so I feel like that could be really interesting to see if I can pick up on any of the things. And also this has been made into a film directed by Steven Spielberg, who's one of my favourite directors, and yeah, I think this could be really good. It sounds like something really kind of different than anything I've read, and like I said, it is heavily sci-fi as far as I know, so yeah, this sounds like a really good one, and yeah, I've owned this for quite some time, so I would like to read it at some point. I'm not going to say soon, let's just not even go there, but I would like to read it in my lifetime. The next one is actually one that I have on my Kindle, and it is a graphic novel, so I'm not sure, I've never read a graphic novel on my Kindle before, so I feel like it could be interesting to see how that works out. But basically, but this one is Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, which I've heard so many people talking about. I think this one has quite a lot of volumes as well, like most graphic novels tend to. I believe I've got the first volume on my Kindle, and I think it follows four 12-year-old newspaper delivery girls who get caught up in a kind of time travel war, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. I've heard that it's like mystery meets sci-fi, so that sounds really interesting to me because I do love a mystery story, so if they can bring the sci-fi elements into that and do that really well, I feel like that could be quite good. I'm a little bit sceptical just because I don't tend to read sci-fi or graphic novels, so to put the two together could be a bit challenging for me, but I'm definitely up for the challenge. I feel like it could be a really fun one, so it'll be interesting to see what I think. The next one is actually one that is on my May TBR for the mental health-a-thon that Nicole from Beautiful Chaos of Books is running. I will link her announcement video down below if you want to check in and give that one a go basically, but it's a read along for the whole month, and I believe this book deals with some form of addiction, hence why I chose it for my TBR. I don't know if I'll get to it this month. If I don't get to it, I will no doubt read this at some point anyway, because like I say, I do own it, and that is The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee, which again has a similar theme I guess to Ready Player One, in that it's where they start building upwards. So the higher up in this massive tower that you live, the better that your social status is, so you're more wealthy, you have more power and that kind of thing. And then, like I say, I don't know kind of what happens after or during this, but I think it's set in 2118, so it's like 100 years into the future, so I guess that's when it says on the back it follows a girl who is a genetically designed beauty, so I guess that might be the sci-fi element to it. I think this one again could be really interesting. I have owned this for quite a while as well, but this is one of those books that always calls out to me, and yet I just haven't picked it up yet. So hopefully, like I say, I'll pick it up this month. If I don't, I'm sure I'll pick it up you know, sometime in the future. But yeah, this is kind of like sci-fi meets like, I don't know what it would be classed as, but it does sound really good, and I'm actually really excited to kind of read something a little bit different with a little bit of mystery and a little bit of romance in, as far as I know, and also their mental health element too. So I quite like it when books kind of have elements of different things, because although sci-fi is not my genre kind of generally, I do enjoy it when it's kind of put with other things that I would potentially like, so that I can kind of get a feel for the genre, I guess. The next book is on one of my lists from the beginning of the year of books I want to read. I think it might be my 2019 TBR. I honestly can't remember, but it is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which is a thriller sci-fi book, I believe, and it's about a man named Jason Desson who has a knock at the door, and the last words he hears before he's kind of knocked unconscious by this man is, "Are you happy in your life?" And when he wakes up, the world as he knew it is no longer that way. His wife is not his wife, his son was never born, and he's not a college professor like he was when he was knocked out. And I think it's about that I guess is the sci-fi element. There's also that thriller mystery bit in this, which I love thrillers, as we all know. So yeah, I feel like, again, this is another one of those kind of like mixtures that I feel like I'm probably going to really enjoy. I feel like also when thrillers have sci-fi elements, it means that you can't predict it as well, because you don't know, like, anything could happen basically, and I really like that. So yeah, very much excited about this one. Again, I think this is on my kind of read soon TBR, but again, I'm not going to say like tomorrow, because I'm not very good at picking books, because there's so many books on my shelf, like I don't know which one I'm going to get to next. The next one I have is Artemis by Andy Weir, the author of The Martian. I don't have the copy of this that I bought actually, because currently my boyfriend is borrowing it. He really likes The Martian, and so I bought him a copy of Artemis so that he could read that. Hopefully I will read it at some point in the future as well. I believe this one's had much more mixed reviews than The Martian did. I think it follows, I want to say it follows a Muslim girl on the moon. Sounds like a really weird. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure anything else about it. I just know that I've heard, like I say, mixed things about the representation in that book. So I'm not sure yet, obviously, until I read it. I really liked The Martian, the film. I didn't love the book as much, so I'm not sure if it's Andy Weir's writing that I didn't enjoy. I found it to be very heavily scientific, which, as I say, sci-fi is just not my genre really, so that makes me struggle with it. But it is definitely, Artemis is definitely a book that I would like to give a go and see what I think. It's also much shorter, I think, than The Martian, so that's potentially a good thing too. Next up is the book that I never know how to explain, because every time I've heard someone explain this book, they've explained it in a really different way, and I get something completely different from the synopsis, so I'm not totally sure I know what this is about. But it is Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel. Again, this is on one of my TBRs from the beginning of the year. I can't remember if this is from my 2019 TBR or if it's from my 5-star read predictions. Not sure. I think this one is meant to be really good. It supposedly follows, I think it's like a group of like Shakespeare actors who are performing Shakespeare, and I mean, as far as I thought, it was to do with a deadly virus that kind of sweeps the world, but I also don't know how true that is, and kind of what the you know, point. I don't know what this is about is all I can really say, because like I said, every time I hear someone talk about it, they say it's not really about that. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what it is about then, so yeah, I'm going to read it and find out myself. Although this did win the Science Fiction Book of the Year, the Arthur C. Clarke Award, so that sounds like a potentially quite promising accolade. And yeah, I've heard, like I said, I have heard really good things about this, I just never know how to explain it, so hopefully I'll be able to explain it better once I've read it. But yeah, this one looks really interesting, and I keep mentioning it on this channel and I still haven't read it, so need to get to that. Next up we have a BookTube classic, kind of a cult classic I would think, and I still haven't read this. This is Illuminated by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is a book told in like multimedia. I think it's told from like documents and emails and text messages and all sorts. So that sounds really cool to me. I kind of love the way that this book feels. Like, it feels a lot like, I don't know, it feels like a dossier of some kind. So this says on the back that it is the year 2575 and 2 mega corporations are at war over a planet that's little more than an ice-covered speck. And people are living on it, and I guess there's some sort of deadly plague at some point, and data, and adventure, I guess. Like I say, I couldn't tell you much more about it than that. I have heard amazing things about this. I think this is it the first in 3? So yeah, this sounds really, really good. I'd love to read this so that I could kind of read the other one as well. But like I said, how many times do you think I'm going to say I'm going to read this book soon? So let's not say that. But yeah, this sounds really fascinating. Again, I love this cover. I think it's a beautiful book and I love the way that it's been published. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. Next up, I have a book that I've actually already seen the movie of. So I normally try not to do that, but I did watch the movie first about this one. This one is The Circle by Dave Eggers. As far as I know, I know what I've seen the movie of, but I did see it a while ago. So this follows a girl named May Holland, who's played by Emma Watson in the movie, and she gets a job at the Circle in California, and the Circle is kind of everybody's internet activity in one place, and yeah, I don't really know how to explain it other than that, to be honest. Like I said, the film was really good. I really enjoyed the film. It's got Tom Hanks in it, it's got Emma Watson, and I loved it. So I hope that this book kind of, I guess it will be that, like that's the whole point, is based on it. So I'm really hoping that I really enjoy this one, you know, just as much, because yeah, that one was brilliant, and I loved the kind of internet. It was a bit scary to watch because it really does talk about things that could potentially happen in our lifetime. So yes, again, it's that sort of thriller, not thriller, I would say like mystery, I guess, kind of sci-fi element, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very compelling. It was a very compelling movie to watch, so I hope that the book is just as kind of compelling, and yeah, very much looking forward to this one. Again, another red book. Next up is another book that I have on my Kindle, and that one is Replica by Lauren Oliver. So I will just read the synopsis for this one off my phone because I'm not entirely sure what it's about. So it says, Lyra, from a distance, the Haven Institute, tucked away on a private island off the coast of Florida, looks serene and even beautiful. But up close, the locked doors, military guards and biohazard suits tell a different story. In truth, it is a clandestine research facility where thousands of replicas or human models are born, raised and observed. But when a surprise attack is launched on Haven, 2 of its young experimental subjects, Lyra, or 24, and the boy known only as 72, manage to escape. As they make their way through a new and menacing environment, they meet a stranger named Gemma, who has embarked on a perilous quest of her own. And as Lyra tries to understand Haven's purpose, she uncovers earth-shattering secrets that will change the lives of both girls. Gemma. Gemma has been in and out of hospitals her whole life. A sickly child, she has grown into a lonely adolescent whose life is circumscribed by home, school and her best friend April. But after she is nearly abducted by a stranger claiming to know her, Gemma starts to investigate her family's past and discovers her father's mysterious connection to the secretive Haven Research Facility. Hungry for answers, she travels to Florida only to stumble upon 2 human models or replicas, 24 and 72, and a completely new set of questions. As Gemma tries to unravel the mysteries of Haven, she learns terrible truths about herself and her family that will threaten to destroy everything she loves. 2 girls, 2 stories, 1 novel. While the stories of Gemma and Lyra mirror each other, each contains revelations critically important to the other story. Their narratives can be read separately or in alternating chapters. So I have heard that this one, I believe the actual physical book, on one side it tells you Gemma's story to the end, and then you flip it and it tells you Lyra's story, so you can read them alternately, or you can read them all the way through one and then all the way through the other, and you can start with whichever. That sounds really interesting to me, but I am interested to know how that works on Kindle, because obviously you don't really have the same options, I suppose. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how that comes across. Again, the storyline sounds really interesting to me, and I kind of love the idea of like clones and that sort of story, so I feel like this could be a really good sci-fi book for me to read, and I'm quite excited about it. And then the last one that I own and I have physically on my TBR Sci-Fi, I have others I'm sure, but this is just the ones I wanted to talk about today, is The Power by Naomi Alderman. This, I believe, is a story that won the Women's Prize for Fiction 2017, and this is about women who suddenly discover they have the power, all women in the world, and with the flick of their fingers they can inflict sort of pain, I guess. And then every man finds they've lost control, and it's supposed to be about kind of the opposite to our society, where men tend to be in control and tend to have the most power over women, whereas this obviously shows the opposite to that. I have heard good things on BookTube, but one of my one of the pharmacists that I work with is reading this right now and is not loving it. She was reading it for her book club, and she said it was really, really rubbish. So I'm interested to see my sort of opinion of this. I have heard, like I said, good things on BookTube, so it could be an interesting one to get to and see what I think. I know it was blurbed, I think, by Margaret Atwood, which is an author that I need to get to. I haven't read any of her books, but I do really want to. And I believe this basically is like a feminist sexism or anti-sexism kind of story. So yeah, very much looking forward to giving this one a go and seeing what I think. Again, I'm not going to say soon because guess what, it won't be. So yeah, this is the last one on my TBR. There you have it, guys. That is the 10 sci-fi books on my TBR that I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what genre that you sort of struggle with and what you think is kind of your genre that you don't particularly enjoy, and let me know what sci-fi books you've really liked and which ones you think I would really like too. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you next time for another video. Bye guys!